He's Tony Dungy from Football Night in America, and he joins us now. Hi, Tone.
Hey, Dan. How are you?
Good. What's it like today if you know you're going to get fired? You got fired in Tampa?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What was that like?
Well, for me, that was difficult because it ended up taking about 3 days. If you know you're going to get fired, it's not that big a deal. But my year, they had a meeting and trying to decide what to do. We had lost a playoff game. So it took a little longer, and that's rough. That's rough on you, on the staff, on the families. You go home that night, and what's happening. If it happens on Monday, it's part of the business. No one likes it, but a lot of these situations, you kind of know what's coming.
You get called in, you go to the owner, GM, president?
It's usually very short because there's not a lot to say, no matter how long you've been together. We were together 6 years in Tampa. It's still uncomfortable. You go in and see the owners, or they come to you and they just say, hey, it's time to move in another direction. And then you tell the staff, and the hardest thing is, hey, guys, we don't know what's happening from here. We'll see if we get another job, where that might be. Guys start to look on their own, and all the uncertainty is the worst part of it.
All right, a couple of firings here. Obviously, Harbaugh leaving the Niners, the mutual parting. Rex Ryan, it's official. He's been fired. Looks like Mike Smith in Atlanta is going to be fired. Don't know about Chicago. The Jets situation. Of all of these jobs here, is there a great job opening for a team that's looking for a new head coach?
Well, I'd have to say the 49ers. You got a playoff team, playoff caliber team. You've got a lot of things in place. I'm not sure what went wrong this year. We talked about it opening night of the season out in Seattle, that you had the coach not getting signed to an extension. You had some dysfunction, the Alden Smith situation, and different things going on. It just didn't bode well, but that's a talented team. You're in a tough division, but I think any coach who is out of work would look at that situation and say that might be pretty good. The other one, surprisingly, is the Oakland Raiders. I mean, they've got a quarterback in place. I think they've drafted well recently. That is an interesting one.
Are you all in on Colin Kaepernick?
I think Colin Kaepernick could be very good if they do what he does. You've got to do what Seattle is doing with Russell Wilson. Use the read option, use those design running plays, make him part of the attack, not just trying to mold him into a traditional quarterback. I think if you do what Carolina's done with Cam Newton and what Seattle's done with Wilson, yes, Colin Kaepernick has shown he can be effective. He can get you to a Super Bowl.
It's just been made official. Mike Smith fired in Atlanta. What kind of coach will Arthur Blank, the owner, go for?
I think he was really happy with Mike Smith and Mike Smith's style, an understated guy who was just solid. The players liked him. I've talked to Arthur Blank in the past. He asked me about coaching there a while back. But I think that's what he's looking for. And again, they've got a team that's not that far away. They've got some explosive offensive players, a good quarterback. They need some help on defense, but that's another situation where, it would be attractive because you've got a good quarterback, and the division is not such that there's a powerhouse team in that division right now.
Wait, when did you get the call from the Falcons?
I can't remember, Dan. That was a while back, probably when they were looking at Mike Smith.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. So Arthur Blank calls you just to see if you're interested.
Well, that was a while ago. That was How many years has Mike Smith been there? 5 or 6 years, yeah.
Okay. Man, your phone never stops ringing.
No, that was a long time ago.
Now it stops ringing. You're not going to get a phone call today.
No. Everyone is clear that I'm done. I'm happy.
Good.
I love my job now. I love being on the BP show on Monday morning. That's where I need to be.
All right. What would your dad say about Jim Harbaugh going to Michigan?
He'd be happy if that took place. He would want Michigan to come back to the forefront in college football. Jim Harbaugh's a proven winner. He's Michigan. I remember I was telling you the story the other night. One of my first scouting jobs was going to the University of Michigan when Jim Harbaugh was the quarterback there, and he and Bo Schembechler got into it in the spring practice. And that's Jim, but he's going to bring that intensity. If he goes there, he'll get Michigan going. He'll get them back in the top 10. There's no question about that in my mind.
Talking to Tony Dungy from Football Night in America, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. You were scouting Harbaugh?
I was scouting defensive backs for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I went to spring practice. Jim Harbaugh made a bad player, threw an interception or something, and Bo Schembechler got on him like I'd never seen a quarterback get talked to. And so when he went to Chicago and played for Mike Ditka, he was very well prepared for Ditka.
But don't you think Harbaugh is going to bring back Ditka and Bo Schembechler in this job at Michigan?
I think he will. I mean, that's his personality and the way he coaches, and wherever he ends up, whether it's in the NFL or at Michigan, he's not going to change. He's going to be who he is, and he's going to bring that intensity. And, that was a good thing for San Francisco.
Do you think Tampa tanked yesterday? I
don't think so. I really don't.
But why did Lovey take some of his players out in the second half, Tone?
I think that's just was part of the game plan. I really don't think they had in mind we've got to lose this game to get the number one pick. I think they wanted to look at some people. Getting the number one pick is going to be great for them. But I just, knowing Lovie Smith the way I do, I don't think that was in his mind.
Well, I know you're being nice and Lovey's your friend, but I think Tampa tanked yesterday. I do. It lightly tanked because they knew that they could get Mariota. And I know how you've been gushing over Mariota. Lovey's your friend. Lovey's going to say, hey, tell me all about him. So if they won...
I'm happy the game ended. It turned out that way. I want them to have the number one pick. I want Marcus to go to Tampa. I think he's going to be perfect for them. But I think if you were going to do that, then you sit the guys out the whole time. You don't play Mike Evans for a half and risk getting guys hurt. If you're going to tank, I think you tank the whole game.
Well, you can't be too obvious there. So I thought that is a subtle tanking job. It was well done by them. Before I let you go, the whole Browns situation here, where now the owner is calling out Gordon and Manziel. How does this end?
Well, I'll tell you what you have to do, Dan. You got to put that in your scouting philosophy first. When I was at Tampa, when I was at Indy with Rich McKay and Bill Polin, we had a category. Do not draft guys because of character, off the field things. You got to look at that and weigh that. And I don't know that Cleveland did a great job of that before. Now it becomes hard when you get these guys on your team that are a little bit off center. Then to rope them back in is hard. But as we talked last night, I would start with Manziel. I'd bring Josh Gordon in. I'd bring all those guys in one by one as the head coach and say, look, if we want to win a championship, here's the things you have to do as players. Here's the things you can't do. And this is the way it's going to be run from here on out. If you don't follow this blueprint, we're going to get other players. You got to let these guys know because they've got some talented guys there. But you don't win with talent. You win with a team that's committed to each other.
What do you think the NFL does with Ndamukong Suh?
When I first looked at it, I didn't think it was intentional when I looked at it at normal speed. But then when you watch it a second time, he obviously knows his one foot is on something behind him, and he takes another step back. The second time I watched it, it looked much more incriminating. I don't think they suspend him for a playoff game. That's not something the NFL wants to do. I would see probably a heavy fine.
All right. Hey, I'll see you next weekend for our wild card game. Safe travels with the boys.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Steve.
All right, buddy. That's Tony Dungy, Football Night in America.